Lately, there have been a lot of instances where I have been in meetings and engagements with people of the opposite gender, with women, and I've noticed clearly that there is a distinct difference between how I get treated and how they get treated. And so in this video, I want to talk about just a little bit some aspects of male privilege and how we as men handle it, acknowledge it, or don't. Let's talk about male privilege. My name is Mwenesi, and this is Get Yours. So, nowadays with internet and social media and, pop culture bringing into focus a lot of the issues on gender-based relationships, there is this one thing that is becoming more and more apparent, and I think more voices are being added to the conversation about male privilege. And is it something that exists? Is it real? Is it something that is worth discussing? Is it something that we should pay attention to as men? And what should we do about it in general? So let's talk about whether it exists in the first place. Like I said in the intro, I've been in some meetings now where, because I'm conscious now about paying attention to how people talk to me, how they react to me vis-a-vis my colleagues and my friends and my partners, I'm now more and more alive to the fact that how I get treated in certain situations is different from how my female counterparts are treated in those situations. I'm talking about, the classic mansplaining, or people trying to interrupt a woman when she's talking as opposed to when a man is talking. And it has happened to me before where, I would be saying something and a woman, I'll get my point across. Of course, if it's a man, we'll try and prove a point back and forth, but I'm a man, so naturally I am aggressive and I will challenge the person on the other side, and I will try my best to get my point across. When my female counterpart started talking, it's almost like there needed to be subtitles to what she said. The guy was repeating back exactly what she said, but it's almost like he was saying it in a way that was kind of patronizing. And I looked this up and I realized that the term is actually mansplaining, where you try and say something for the benefit of women. I found it a little bit insulting, but it is what it is. And I'm sure I've probably been guilty of doing the same thing subconsciously. And that's why I'm doing this video, so that I can be conscious about my behavior when I'm placed in a situation where I have to deal with people of the opposite gender. Then it got me thinking, do I have more privileges as opposed to a woman who would be in my situation? And I thought about, things like safety and security. I mean, right now, especially in South Africa, where I used to live, there's a big situation now on gender-based violence and how women are being treated from a safety and security perspective. And I thought of myself, and if I was a woman, obviously I'm not, but I always think, if I was a woman, would I be able to do some of the things that I do freely? I mean, I can wake up, get dressed, leave my house, and the issue of being safe and secure never crosses my mind, unless it's a question of, maybe there might be a terrorist attack, or, I'm going into a part of town which is ideally not safe. There's, a history of muggings or things like that. But I realized that for women, in the main, it's a different consideration. She always has to be, first of all, aware of where is she going, the routes that she's going to take, who is she going to be with, who is she going to meet, who knows that she is there. And some of these considerations that as a man, I never have to think about. Now, I'm generalizing, of course, because maybe not all women experience this and not all men experience this as well. But I think that the majority of men, and me being a man, I speak to this, safety and security is not something that I think about constantly. Am I safe? Can I walk in this alleyway? The fear of being raped, the fear of being sexually harassed at work. Those issues of safety and of my safety, my personal safety, my bodily safety and security, these are not things that come to me naturally because I'm a guy. And I mean, I have it in me that, I'll defend myself, or I'll find a plan or a solution. And, so, that's one aspect that I thought, okay, maybe there is some aspect of male privilege here. I can just do things. I can leave, I can move around, but a woman has to, do a bit more thinking and planning around that. And it brought me to another aspect. you know, when you're in the workplace or in a career or starting a job or starting a business or whatever it is, how you are perceived as a woman, I believe is very different from how we are perceived as men. Because if I get a job or a customer or a client, I don't think it has ever been okay, maybe it is, but maybe I'm not privy to that discussion. But it's not highlighted that I got my job because I'm a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the gender aspect does not come in whenever I get a job or an opportunity. But when it's a woman, it's like, okay, did she get it because she's pretty, or did she get it because she knows someone, or did she get it because she, you know, there's always something that qualifies the woman and it doesn't qualify the guy, because for the guy, it's, you know, can he do the job or can't he do the job? For the woman, yeah, sure. Nowadays, we're a bit more enlightened, and I'm not saying that this is typically happening all the time. I'm just saying that, you know, when you listen to the conversations that men and women have to go through in the workplace or in business, you know, a woman's gender will come up more as a qualifier to whether she deserves that job or not, as opposed to, you know, a guy who got the job, his gender will never be part of that conversation. You know the classic saying, oh, so-and-so is sleeping their way to the top, or having, or you know, it's because, you know, she looks a certain way, and many other things that have nothing to do with the job, but have everything to do with the person's gender. So when it comes to that perception, I again think that we as men have some level of privilege. And the biggest one of all, which is, you know, its nature, is the fact that anytime a woman has an opportunity or wants to do something, the consideration of her family status, is she married, does she have children, that keeps being brought into play and being a point of discussion much more than for the guy. And when we're talking about performance and career or business, your family status, your marital status, whether you have children or not, you know, it really shouldn't be a factor, although it is. But I realize that for women, it is much more of a factor. And especially as they progress in age, those now become the highlights of the conversations, as opposed to, are you competent at the job? Are you doing the job well? And I guess maybe with time, especially here in Africa and Kenya, we will get to a point where we will be a bit more enlightened to have those conversations around women in terms of their competency and their capacity vis-a-vis their need to be in a marital or familial or childbearing situation. And I don't have the answer. I'm just saying that when I look at these aspects, when I look at, you know, the safety and security aspect, when I look at the being interrupted in meetings and the mansplaining, when I look at the issues around how you're perceived just because you're a woman in the workplace, as well as the family and child issue, I realize that as a guy, I have it pretty easy, you know, and I get to coast through, not coast, I mean, we still work hard, and you know, it's not that I'm saying that men don't work hard, we work, but life is, we have to deal with less questions, less obstacles, less pressure than women. And as a man, and speaking to my fellow men, I think we need to be conscious of that when we're dealing in the workplace with people of the opposite gender, and just have it in the back of our minds that, yes, we are in a position of advantage compared to our female counterparts. I'm going to stop there. You know, this is a topic which I'm sure we could go on and on and on about, but I just wanted to bring that out because it's a personal experience to me, and I wanted to highlight it and see, you know, do you guys have other examples of male privilege? And, you know, is it something that we need to tackle? Is it a conversation that we need to have? I don't know. Let's see. Thank you so much for watching. Keep sharing, keep watching, keep subscribing. My name is Mwenesi, and remember, all I want you to do is get yours.